Hey, Al fans. Well, you know what? I'm doing something I've never done before. I didn't even bother with my hat. There's a deluge out. I try to walk Beef. I said, you know what, Beef, you're going to wait. So I'm sitting in my car as I prepare to go to the gym, which I do on weekends every Saturday. So, needless to say, I would have had a blue hat. For those newcomers, there's some people I wear blue, the blue reversible hat when the Islanders lose, in orange. And I forgot there was even an orange. The blue's been just sitting upright, and I haven't even had to put the orange on for a month. But the first thing I wanted to bring up, and this is really alarming to me, is that right now the Islanders are playing very lackluster hockey. And I just looked at the standings. I'm right here. And I have to hysterically laugh when I see some of these guys that are, I don't know, the loyalists that are blind, that go, oh, maybe we'll put a dent in the Caps. Fellas, we're lucky to finish third. The Pens are 4 behind with a game in hand now. And we are lucky the Devils lost 3 in a row. This is not a good team. So now I go to the thing that Darryl mentioned last week. You can't fire 23 guys. And the first thing I say to myself, how did a team that was so good last year, that actually dominated quite a few games? I can name you 15 games where we dominated. Beat Colorado 6-0. Beat the Rags 3-0. Dominated them in the Garden. Beat the Rags 6-2 in the Garden. Shut them out 4-0 at the Coliseum. And then I think Lackluster lost the shutout with 20 seconds left. Beat the world champion Hawks 3-2. I was at the game with my wife when they beat Tampa 3-1. Outshot them 49. I don't see that. So here's where I think coaching makes a difference, and Cappy has to go. Has to go. And Darryl had a great thing. It should be tonight. We shouldn't wait. It has to be now. Normally, I would say coaching, generally speaking, a coach is as good as his players. Let's be real. Generally speaking, because Joe Torre was a stiff, and he's in the Hall of Fame now. He coached Jeter, Bernie Williams, Paul O'Neill. Terry Collins was a laughing stock, and he got to the World Series. And I just saw a Hall of Famer fired on Monday, Tom Coughlin. He didn't have the players. But kind of the reverse is with Cappy. He's got the players, albeit maybe not a Stanley Cup roster, but a team that could put in a better effort than it did. Now, when I first realized Cappy wasn't the coach, because the youths on social media, like my son, people that are 40 and under, my son is in his 20s, they would fire Cappy if he got to the cup. Maybe not win, then you can't be rational. But I was holding out because I go by the Bill Parcells axiom, you're as good as your record shows, last year. And when they didn't show for Game 7, they didn't show. And only 4 shots from their forwards in the biggest game in years, I said, you know what? They tuned out the coach. They didn't even come to play. So I think it's imperative that most people feel that Snow's going to wait, if he even has a job, because when John Ledecky and ownership comes in, they'll probably clean the entire house. But personally, I think that if you can make a coaching change sooner before later, I think if they tune him in, and I'll give you my last reason why, how much coaching in hockey means. A funny story. I went to many games at the Barn. I had seasons during the Dynasty. Nysham's goal still remains my greatest moment of my life in sports, ever. Nothing's even close. But what I hold dearly to my heart, I was at the last game at the Barn. I sensed it might be, and I told William, we got to go. I didn't have seasons the last 15 years because I live in New Jersey now, but I still went to 6 games a year, going over the belt, sitting in traffic, never minded it one bit. I'm sitting down at the Marriott, for those of you who remember, and not at the Marriott, on those stone walls there outside between the Marriott and the Barn. I was sitting down, beautiful spring day, music was blaring. That part I do miss, but I'm not getting into it, arena debate here. Okay, and I see a guy with an attaché case on a roller, and it was the Caps coach, because you used to see a lot of people walk by. I saw Trotz walk by. Brian Trottier, Bossy. I ran over him. We go, who the hell is this guy coming at me? You could see, like, backed off. Because whenever you see some lunatic run after you, and I said, hey, coach, I want to shake your hands. You've done a great job. And he didn't say anything. And then I said, you know what? You turned Ovechkin from a minus 35 to a plus 25. That's saying something. And he smiled and said, thank you. Think about that statement for a minute as it pertains to us. Ovechkin was a negative 35, which means on a 5-on-5, the other team scored 35 times more than when he was off the ice. Now, yes, he would get 50 goals a year because much of it was on the power play that doesn't go to the plus minus. But think what Trotz did. He instilled team first, me second. And Ovechkin was making the Hall of Fame anyway because of his 800 goals he's going to get. He's up to 500 already. You know, beat the Queen twice yesterday. He's up to 499 with 8 years left. But he put him into a team player. He put in a concept of structure. Defense first, look for offense, team over individual performance. And I shook his hand. He smiled and said, thank you. That's how much coaching means. Okay. Now, 2 other things, and then we'll talk about it. I really do believe, and I know this is the hidden elephant in the room, I think the transition in the move has upset some of the players. I know people on Uncensored go off, oh, the piece of shit in Nassau, whatever. But let's be real. I'm not getting into arena debates. I'm talking business here. When Tavares is quoted on Twitter to say planes, trains, and automobiles, that great movie from 35 years ago, he was taking a jest at saying, I feel like we're at 82 road games. When your captain says that, and he's not performing, I think it has a trickle down. I think if you take the feeling of the players feeling they play 82 games on the road, get mad at them all you want. That's how they feel. I'm just reporting what I'm reading. And Hamonic asking out, any way you look at it, Hamonic asked out. I think that's having an effect on the locker room. And I'm so upset that double nickels, Johnny Boychuk, is out. Because if Boychuk was back, they would move Hammond now. Nothing against him. I love the guy. But that effect of saying, I don't want to play for you. And Tavares going planes, trains, and automobiles. We're playing 82 games on the road. Don't let that hidden elephant in the room think that's not part of the reason that's causing our lackadaisical play when your captain is saying that. Okay? Again, is that the reason? I don't know. But when I read that, I was startled. You could see that there's a disenchantment in the locker room, and that's not healthy. I think they got to get used to it, okay, because nothing's going to change. Forget about what's going to happen 5 years from now. Think of today. Hell, if I made $5 million a year, I'd have my limo driver taking me to and back Brooklyn, and I wouldn't complain. I understand it's different, but now shut up and play, okay, to everybody, okay? It is what it is. It happens in business. I got fired having a great year because new management came in. I didn't complain about planes, trains, and automobiles. I just got let go, and I was 110% as a sales manager. They just let me go. Okay, these things happen, and this is business. So the bottom line is they got to get used to this move. They need a new coach. And I go back to my final thing. Okay, I saw Ovechkin. I've seen Kane and Taves. I've seen the boys from Dallas, Ben and Sagan. But again, I said this last week. This doesn't mean to be a repeat. Is something wrong with Tavares? I mean, I don't even see him. And again, we know he needs wings. All right, let me put that out there. We know he needs wings. We've said this. Me, Darrell Williams, said this 3 years ago when we played Pitt. But again, I go back to he made Parenteau a scorer. He made Molson a scorer. These guys are bums. Think about it. I don't mean to knock a fan favorite of Molson, but he's an 11-goal scorer. Okay? But now we give him a Poso and Lee and Nelson, and forget about who we gave him. Think about how he's playing. Do you even know? A great player is someone you notice on the ice. I noticed Gretzky. I noticed Bossy. I noticed Potman. I noticed Trottier. I noticed the grade 8. How do you miss the grade 8? I don't even notice Tavares. I couldn't even tell you when he's on the ice. He's just an average player right now. Oh, let me turn that around. He's playing average. He's got superstar pedigree. But do you see him dominating? So I think Tavares has got to get off his ass and lead. And finally, the excuse. I'm making an excuse, and I know you're not supposed to. I hate when I do this. But it's tough to lose double nickels, Johnny B, and now Hammer. And if you notice, we went from the third best defense in hockey at 2.25 goals for 37 games. You know we've given up 4.75 goals a game for 4 games. And I wrote, coincidence? Double nickels and Hammer is a disaster. Final silver lining. I love the play of Mayfield and Pellich together. I think Matt Story brought this up. I wish that pair stays together for 7 years. I really do. Keep those two 22-year-old youths and either use Pulock as a trade chip, and I love Pulock, with Hamonic and Oposo, and you can get multiplayers in that. Change the chemistry, or bring Pulock up. Why even play straight and Zidlicki and lose with them? I've always gone by the theory, if you're going to lose with the youths. Keep Mayfield and Pellock together. I like that young combo. And why play straight? In other words, if you waive them and no one picks them up on waivers, no one would pick up straight. Somebody might pick up Zidlicki. You have to send him to Bridgeport, okay? Because you got to pay him. If somebody picks him up, you only owe them $200,000 the rest of the year. Both of them are at $750,000. Give the kid pull. I was laughing. I posted this on Uncensored the other day. Name me one organization that has 2 AHL All-Stars and they're not promoted. Think about that. That's Pulock. So with that in mind, rugged week. We play a Jacket team that's only getting better, okay? And we played our bitter enemy, the Rangers, on Thursday, and I don't know how that's going to go. So until next Sunday, hopefully the weather's better. Cigar and glasses on. Let's go, Isles. I'll speak to you then.